I'd like us to look at prayer mountains or prayer sites. I know that throughout this series, we've talked about prayer happening in the closet, but I would like us to explore another area that helps us enhance our time of prayer, and that's prayer outdoors. Let's start with the outdoors. I thank God that last year I visited Namibia, the nation of Namibia, specifically Youth for Christ Namibia, and my dear friend Fiona Engelbrecht, who is the Southern Region Spiritual Formation Coordinator. She's a Spiritual Formation Coordinator for Southern Region, and she was gracious enough to give me a tour around prayer spaces. And I'd like to share some of this footage with you as we explore like a prayer mountain. So, first, we're going to see the Rock Lodge Prayer Mountain, which is a hotel not far from the Hodegos hostels and backpackers and hostels campsite, which is where Youth for Christ Namibia is. And the Rock Lodge Prayer Mountain is it's really a hill. I mean, if you're coming from the Renzori Mountains like I am, we could call it a mountain, but it's a hill that has been tailored or has been left untouched, only that they have added a few trails and scriptures here and there to create an environment for prayer. They have patterned this prayer mountain around a journey, prayer being a journey, and it's really exciting to see how amazing nature is, rough as it is, but it has something about it. So I'd like to share that footage with you, and I pray that you'll be blessed as you see what's going on at the prayer mountain in Namibia. Now, I believe that it's not the only prayer mountain in Namibia, but it's a place where they're calling it the prayer mountain. And we went with the Project Serve students. Project Serve is a ministry, within Youth for Christ that helps empower young people in leadership. And so by the time I went to Namibia, the team of the Project Serve team was due for a visit to the prayer mountain, and I said, of course, I'll go with you. So it was a wonderful time, and I'd like us to explore what it's like. So before we move on to that, I must apologize. My voice at the time when I was in Namibia was rather hoarse because I was recovering from a cold, and I guess exhaustion had done a bit of travel that time. So but I'm sure you can hear something. You can learn a few things from the footage. Enjoy. Prayer journey on the mountain, and the outstanding thing is we have scriptures everywhere. We have scriptures along the trail, and it gives you the sense that even as you do prayer, even as it gives you that sense of climbing. You start off prayer on a certain pace, and as you go, you become more and more engrossed in the scriptures. And now we're at this beautiful spot that is an image of Calvary. We have the three crosses, and then we have the words of Jesus on the cross. It says, "Truly I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise." That's Luke 23 verse 43. And then there's another rock that says, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And then we have, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." So all these scriptures, you cannot be in this place and miss the reality of what
Calvary was like. And then the "it is finished," is right at the bottom of this, and it's right at the top of this hill. It's a fact that cannot be hidden. It's a spiritual fact that each one of us needs to embrace the reality of what Calvary did for us. So, this prayer site gives you that opportunity to walk in that journey of our spiritual salvation. Earlier on, we looked at Romans 8, verse 1, which is one of my favorite. There's now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. And then the next thing is we have these crosses. Why? Because it's at this place that our salvation is cemented. And then the resurrection. Perhaps there's a tomb, an empty tomb at the top. That would be awesome. But it's amazing. It's amazing.
So we're at this prayer mountain. It's not far from the campsite. It's about 30 minutes drive from the campsite, and it's the Rock Lodge. It's a beautiful place. I think they have some accommodation, they have a pool, they have all sorts of amenities. And so we've gone up the mountain, we've experienced just that. And we came very early in the morning. I think that's the best time to do it, when the sun is rising and the place is lighting up by the sunlight. It's so beautiful. So we've seen the different verses, the cross. They take you on a journey where you see prayer as a physical journey. And this lady is used to this kind of things, but I'm the new one, so I was like the whole time. And so she's a bit bored, but she's enduring. When you're hosting, you just pretend to be okay, waiting for this woman to go away. But anyway, we've enjoyed ourselves, and the young people are experiencing it. Some of these things, not everyone has that exposure, and these are good places to bring young people and inspire them in prayer, inspire them in reading the word, give them a different experience, a different perspective on how to study the word. So at this point, I want to hand over to my host here to say something about this prayer mountain.
She totally caught me off guard.
Of course, those are the best. If I say now rehearse this, it's not nice.
It's not.
Yeah.
Okay, so my experience with the prayer mountain is it's a total different atmosphere, and it takes you on a journey where Jesus was walking the Via Dolorosa. And to me, walking up from there, they have this little, you start by number 1, and then you walk and you walk, and then you get all of these illustrations, shall I say. I am the gate, and then the little gate is there. Something for you to remind who Jesus really is. We forget at times, who God really is. Like literally who He really is. And when when we reached the top, and we just looked over Okahania and Namibia, you can experience, what God has created. And I mean, we cannot comprehend the vastness. It is amazing. Then you get to the top by the 3 crosses. My favorite scripture that got me it is finished. My dear, it is finished. It is finished. Everything has been paid for. You know, all my things, all my sins, everything was nailed to the cross. And my goodness gracious.
I like the part where there's a heap of rocks on one point, and you see it in some of our images. A heap of rocks where we were told that they encourage people to cast their cares. So you find this heap of rocks, you're like, so that tells you how many guys have been going up this mountain, and just symbolically, it's not like a religious thing per se. It's just a journey, a physical journey that's demonstrating a spiritual reality. And so they pick up these rocks and just cast their cares, and walk down the mountain without those problems. It's a faith journey that each one of us has to do again and again consciously. So prayer mountains and sites like this are actually very good teaching spots for young people, but also reminders of the fact that we are on a journey. So yeah, that's the end of our session. For now, we are going to take some coffee. It's cold here, but yeah, that's our price for Jesus. God bless you. So having seen that, would you consider setting up a prayer mountain? Perhaps you have land that has a hill. Does it have to be a mountain? It doesn't have to be a mountain. It just needs to be a space where you pick a theme and allow people experience what prayer is, based on the theme that you're working with. And we will see more about prayer now on the indoors, in an indoor space, especially when we look at what does a prayer room have. What are some of the things or activities or stations you can set up in a prayer room to ensure that the room is inviting, the room is not boring, the people are not falling asleep as they're praying. And even if they fall asleep, perhaps they'll see a vision or two. But that's not the goal. The goal is that they engage with God as they pray. So I'd like to invite you to consider setting up some of these prayer spaces, whether it be an outdoor space. You could do it as a project with young people. You could do it as a family. You could set up a prayer room in your house if you have a room to spare. So let me not get ahead of myself. Let's take a look at prayer at the GA, the General Assembly. I was going to say the Global Assembly, the General Assembly of Youth for Christ International that took place in October of 2023. One of the highlights for me, at least, was the prayer room at the GA in 2023. So I'm going to share some footage with you, and we get to see what a prayer space can be like in an indoor setting. What kind of inspiration can you pick from the footage that I'm about to share that can help you set up your own prayer room? The key is not so much the things that are in the room, is that there is a place that that you can go and pray and connect with God, and it's a quiet place, or it's not disturbed. It's not a room that has other activities. It's a place of seclusion. Like the Bible talks about Jesus going off into the mountains, going off to the desert, whether it's Matthew 4 or Luke chapter 5 makes reference to, I believe it's Luke chapter 5, that makes reference to Jesus taking some time off to pray. So let's have a look at what the prayer room, which was called the Mount, at the GA of 2023 was like. So, at the YFCI General Assembly of 2023 in the Netherlands, we had a prayer room. The conference was at a hotel, and one of the rooms, as you can see, room 401 on the 4th floor, was designated specifically for prayer. It was open 24/7, and all those who were attending the conference were encouraged to take some time at any time of the day between different activities to go and spend some time in prayer. The room was called the Mount. The theme was the Mount, and we shall see what this is all about. But this prayer room was an interactive room filled with prayer spaces, activities that will help us, those who were attending at the time, or help you in prayer to pray, help you to pray in different dynamic ways. And it had different spaces within the same room. They had created different themes, different activities that would help one to pray. I love the mural on the ground, the first one. I think I don't know if you'd call it a mural, but it was an applique, that's an art technique of stitching fabric, and create and on stitching different colors of fabric to create a pattern. And here we have the world map, the map of the world. As you know, Youth for Christ is an international ministry, and we have ministries in different nations. So this particular piece that was laid out on the floor covered up to about 80% of the room, was covered by this giant map of the world. And there were pieces on the side, as you can see, allowing nations to take a piece of fabric that represents their nation and come and stick it in the place on the map where they know this is where our nation is. And this was giving us the opportunity to pray for nations, to pray for the world. We are a ministry that is not just inward looking on our activities, but we are aware of the work that's going on around the world and the nations that need prayer. And so this was one of those. I enjoyed this particular one. We took time to just pray, and the room was open 24/7, so people would come and pray. Whichever item within the room inspired you, you would take on that and begin to pray and begin to linger in his presence. We also had the mural, the Mount mural, which was a representation of a mountain, like a cutout of a mountain on a wall, where people were encouraged to stick names of young people that they are praying for, that they are calling to the Lord. As you know, our ministry is focused on having young people come to the Lord. And why the mount? In Daniel chapter 2, the author uses the imagery of the stone growing into a mighty mountain to demonstrate the building of the kingdom. As the mountain grew, God's kingdom is also promised to grow. And then we had some a few papers there and pens and pencils where one was encouraged to write the names of young people that we are praying for to come into the kingdom. and then some glue is provided as well. Some paper clips are provided to enable those attending to stick those names on that wall. We had some sellotape right there, as you can see, so that people could pray for people, that the kingdom may grow. So this room is a good representation of what a typical prayer room can have. It doesn't have to have much. It can be empty completely with just a chair and a small table and writing paper, a Bible. Or you could make a theme around the prayer room. Here we have a tent that was representing that closet space, that closed in kind of prayer, private, more intimate. You could still go in there and pray. And again, we had some writing materials for you to utilize. We also had the prayer kit, we had prayer scriptures, we had some write up of things that you could pray for while you were in the tent. Again, the idea was to inspire those using the room to pray for different things, to posture themselves and focus on different things in prayer. We also had the Holy Communion. That's another key aspect of prayer, a powerful weapon. Holy Communion is a practice that is meant to be observed over and over again throughout the life of a Christian. It is a holy time to worship when we corporately come together as one body to remember and celebrate what Jesus did for us, as captured in 1 Corinthians 11, verse 24 to 25. And so we had actual Holy Communion elements on the table, so that as you pray, and you're willing to share Holy Communion with someone, remember as you pray, just take that Holy Communion as a memorial, the Bible says, to what Jesus did for us. And that in of in itself is a powerful tool, a powerful weapon as you pray. We also had the curtain. We had another curtain again, still a space where you could stick names of people you're praying for or stick some prayer requests. We had some safety pins and, little stationary things that would enhance your time in prayer. One of my favorite spots in this room was the station for washing of feet. This is a practice that Jesus himself demonstrated to the disciples in the upper room just a couple of days or before he was crucified. As it got intense, he was teaching us um, the practice of serving one another, bearing one another's burdens, praying for other people, repenting on behalf of other people. So the washing of feet could represent anything. What does it represent for you? Please do share with us in the comments below, and let's interact and hear what you have to say about the washing of feet. So this again was another station that was just representing some of the Christian practices, that remind us that our lives belong to the Lord, that our lives are not, the salvation we received was not for selfishness, but for serving the nations, for serving young people, for serving family, but also for interacting with the word and the principles of the gospel of Jesus Christ. So we had the prayer kit. These were given out at the beginning of the conference to encourage people. And in there we had little sweets, we had paper. I mean, if you did not go to the prayer room, you missed out a lot. But it was well thought out. Thanks to Lindo, our director for prayer, our global director for prayer in Youth for Christ International. So, do you have a prayer space in your country, in your church, in your home? If you have some prayer rooms, some prayer gardens where you are, prayer mountain where you are, please do share with us some of your pictures, share with us your experience in using such spaces. You can write to us, send us an email at spiritualformationafrica@gmail.com. We'll be happy to hear more from you in your experience in prayer spaces, and let us know what excites you about them and what your thoughts are on the idea of prayer spaces. So we've looked at indoor prayer spaces, we've looked at outdoor prayer spaces, but I still have just one more outdoor space that I visited that's now here in Kenya that I will be sharing with you very soon. But thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification button, send a friend, have a discussion around prayer sites and what that does for prayer as a discipline. Thank you for watching. See you next time.